And what is up with it, everybody? Live from the studios of WIUR here at the La Penta Student Union at Iona University. It's Woolley Mammoth Wednesdays. I am your host, Cameron Woolley, bringing you the best and only the best sports on campus. So we have a couple of things to talk about. First, I'd like to give my begrudging congratulations to the Houston Astros on winning the World Series. I'm just gonna say from here on out, I'm never gonna talk about the Astros cheating scandal ever again. Ever again. Never. I'm never gonna talk about that again because they proved that that their organizational structure and their process is more than good enough to win a championship and still get sustained success after losing some key players like George Springer and Carlos Correa and Garrett Cole and even some other smaller role players like Charlie Morton and after Michael Brantley got injured. That right there is a well-run organization. From top to bottom, they are incredibly run. And I just want to say my congratulations to them because they have done multiple times what the Yankees have not been able to do. And that is win a World Series in what I consider to be the modern era of baseball twice. Twice they've done it. And sure, as Yankee fans, we can complain about Altuve and, whine about whatever. But the bottom line is they own us. They own us. And we need to know our place in the hierarchy of the American League and in the baseball world as a whole. Because, newsflash, things aren't changing around here. Brian Cashman said at the GM meetings that Josh Donaldson will remain at third base. The hubris and ego of that organization and their pride is more important to them than improving the team and winning at all costs. Meanwhile, the Astros, they can lose however many players they want. They can make a trade. They can admit that it was wrong, and then they can make changes based on the most recent data. And the Yankees, that's not what they do. And that's not what they're going to do, not at least for decades and decades. So, congratulations, Houston Astros. You guys won. You really won. This time around, there's no question about it. So sure, everyone can talk about, Framber Valdez, the foreign substances. Everybody does it. Everybody does it. Same thing with the steroids. Same thing with the sticky stuff before. Everyone does it, and everyone's going to do it. Anyways, just wanted to say also congratulations to the Philadelphia Phillies for making it that far. I mean, just what a run. Just what a ragtag group of guys. Like, my God, sure, you had it was mostly on the back of a superstar hitter in Bryce Harper, but, that's what you get studs to do, to hit when it matters most. And all I can say is the Yankees haven't gotten guys who can hit in October. Okay, aside from Harrison Bader. They have not gotten guys who can hit in October. Okay, Stanton. He's been great. But other than Stanton and Bader, nobody has really showed up in October on a consistent basis. And sure, I know you can lump Judge in there with the guys who are stinky chokers, but no, I'm not going to lump him in there with those guys because he carried them enough in the regular season. You need more than one guy to show up in the postseason. Anyways, enough about the Yankees. Let's talk about some winning organizations around here. The New York Football Giants somehow lost the bye week. And it was because, and this is what I'll mostly be talking about when it comes to the Giants. Xavier McKinney might be out for the season because he hurt his hand in, wait for it, an ATV accident while he was vacationing in Cabo and while on a quote-unquote sightseeing tour. It's always the Giants with these off-the-field injuries. First, Plaxico shoots himself, and then JPP blows his hand off with a firework, and now Xavier McKinney hurts his hand in ATV accident. Granted, it's less drastic than shooting yourself in the leg or blowing your hand off with a firework, but it's still pretty bad. And to the rest of the NFL world, it's still equally as funny. I'm just gonna say this right now. I think McKinney's a total idiot. I'm sure, and everyone, I'm seeing people on Twitter jump to his defense because the vibes are so great with the Giants, and I get it. Like, hey, he's 23 years old. He made a mistake. Me. I'm like, dude, I'm 18. I'm an idiot. And I know for a fact that if I was in a situation where I was being counted on, if I was a captain, and say I was on like a down the hall over there, say I was on the Overwatch team for Iona. I think they're going to be playing in the MAC tournament in January. Am I going to want to get in a situation where, or am I going to want to do something that is going to heavily risk me breaking my wrist and essentially put me out for a few months, out for the season? Because that's in esports, essentially a broken wrist is basically the same thing as a torn ACL. I'm assuming because you play with your hands a lot. Like you can snap your leg in half and still play esports just fine. But in like in esports, anyways. But all I'm saying is that he's an idiot. Like, are we being serious? I'm just gonna say this right now. He better not be a captain. He is one of the current defensive captains or co-captains. And all I'm gonna say is when you're one of the few good players left who is healthy on a team that has been decimated by injuries, then you can't be doing stuff like that. You can't be riding ATVs in Cabo on a sightseeing tour. And all I'm saying is I've been on an ATV sightseeing tour in the Caribbean. All I'm saying is that it isn't just flat terrain that you're riding super slow on. You're going up and down hills through the rainforest. You're going through some pretty rough terrain, pretty risky. And, maybe if I was a football player who is counted on and is a professional, especially in a media market like New York, where they're going to throw the hornet's nest at you if you do something like this, then yeah, maybe I'd be more responsible. And also, there's a clause in his deal about his guaranteed money being voided if he suffers, and now this is a big thing in the football world, in the big agent world, and the football money world, non-football injuries. NFI for short. And it was specifically included in there in the paper that multi-terrain vehicles were on that list. So now Xavier McKinney is not only dealing with a hand injury that will probably have him out for the season, one of the best players on the Giants defense out for the season, when you're coming up with some very tough divisional games, Thanksgiving in Dallas, coming off the bye week, you got a couple of very winnable games against Houston and Detroit that you got to take. And then you have Philly twice, who we know are going to bring it. They're tough. Even when they're not undefeated, they always play the Giants well for whatever reason. And then you have Washington twice. Yeah, Washington's been pretty easy over the years, but it's still, you don't know what you're going to get in these divisional games. And then then down the stretch, you have playoff implications to deal with. Sure, if this was a year where we were like in the gutter, if we were 1-7, maybe I'd be like, you know what? Whatever. It's fine. You haven't been having fun on the football field. You can have fun in Cabo. If your hand gets hurt, oh well, we didn't have a shot anyways. We might as well tank for Bryce Young. But when you're in a spot where the team, where coaches, where players, where executives, where fans are going to count on you to be a major contributor to a good team, then you can't be doing stuff like that. This organization should have learned from Plaxico Burress. They should have learned from Jason Pierre-Paul. with the NFIs. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous just how stupid some of these athletes are. All the money in the world, and they're just being so stupid with it. That's a whole other rant separately. And again, we're gonna Kyrie Irving. I'm not even gonna get into that. But just it's so frustrating to see players with great careers, great players, do stuff like this, like getting an ATV accident. That's so avoidable. It's just like, yeah, it was an accident. But you know how you avoid getting in an ATV accident? By doing something a little better on your vacation in Cabo than riding an ATV. Now you're in that area, you got all the money in the world. Go down to like the Bahamas or something. Go on a beach, drink some pina coladas. You're going to have a lot of fun going on a vacation in a nice tropical area. Go to Costa Rica, go to a nice resort and sit down, lay back, go to a spa, get a massage. You know, like those cup things that they put on your back that like bruises you, but like all that stuff. Do that. Don't get in an ATV accident. Don't go riding ATVs. Don't go doing something that could directly put you at risk. Ugh. Anyways, Giants have a guy coming back, Kenny Galladay. They didn't make a move for a receiver at the trade deadline, so we're praying for Kenny Galladay to come back and somewhat resemble what he was in Detroit. And I'd still have faith in the talent. Like there's talent there. Like there's a little bit of me that thinks Kenny Galladay could be a solid receiver. Because he's a big body, good catch radius. He's solid. Like when he's good, he can contribute to an offense in a good way. And with the receivers that we have now, we need all the help we can get. If he can be, a solid possession guy, a guy you can reliably throw the ball to, and who can catch the ball and, move the chains in certain situations, and then that opens up a lot of things. You throw the ball to Wan'Dale Robinson, a couple of wide receiver screens, get Saquon Barkley involved. Maybe Evan Neal, even though Neal, I believe, is going to be out this week. But, it opens things up in the offense when defenses don't just need to stack 9 guys in the box because none of your receivers can catch the football. That would be nice, to get some variety in the offense because we need all the help we can get. And Kenny Galladay, I guess, qualifies as help. Anyways, very winnable game coming up against Houston. The Giants should win this game. Absolutely, they should win this game by multiple possessions. They are tanking so much that they are not even trying to hide the fact that they're tanking. They hired Lovie Smith as their head coach. And they have Davis Mills as their quarterback. And there's a quarterback class coming up. It's kind of all right. I'm not a big fan of CJ Stroud, but Bryce Young looking to be great. But yeah, they're playing a team that is trying to lose. Trying to lose. They want to lose. The more they lose, the better. So, I mean, it should be a win. Should be a win. I'd be happy if it was a win. Also, quick shout out to the Jets. Big win against the Buffalo Bills. Honestly, the biggest Jets win since, I can remember. Honestly, 2015 in Week 16 against New England, where Eric Decker caught that touchdown in overtime that we thought, the Jets are going to the playoffs. But, the Jets, they just Jets. They Jetsed it. And sure, there's still plenty of time for them to Jets this, but, that's a talented roster over there. Ironically enough, Zach Wilson is the weak link. It's like the opposite of the Giants, where Daniel Jones is really good, but the rest of the offense stinks. Anyways, the Jets defense holding Josh Allen to 3 points in the second half. That is tough. You want to talk about tough in the modern day NFL? Holding that to 3 points in the second half. That is tough. And the Jets, they brought it. Robert Saleh, he's done a good job over there. It's great. It's great to see both New York teams playing well because it's good for football. It's good for around here. Ugh, man. Anyways, I think that'll about do it for the football segment. Hey, anyways, let's transition to my other favorite thing that I want to talk about. Let's talk some puck. That's right, I talk hockey, and specifically I talk Devils on here. Because nobody else in this market wants to respect the New Jersey Devils, so I'm gonna fill in on that one. New Jersey Devils last night won their 7th game in a row. First time they've had a 7-game win streak since 2011. I was 7 years old at that time. 7 years old. I'm 18 now. I'm a freshman in college. The last time the Devils had a win streak that lasted this many games was in 2011. And they've been playing great. They swept the West Canada road trip for the first time since 1996. Both Nico Hischier and Jesper Bratt are at a point a game. Jesper Bratt, who didn't play well last night. I mean, honestly, the Devils mostly didn't really play that well last night, but they still won. But Jesper Bratt, 18 points in 13 games. Nico Hischier, by the way, I'm just going to say right now, I've been on the Nico Hischier bandwagon ever since I was 14 years old. No, 13. Scratch that. 13. When he was drafted. I'm like, you know what? This guy's going to be a stud. And through the first few years, he was putting up 40, 50 points a year. And everyone's saying, oh, this guy's a 3C at best. Now, look at this. Nico Hischier, 14 points in 12 games, including the big game winner last night on a nice shot. And he's been nearly impossible to take off the puck. And he's looking to be an early Selke favorite. So, hey, give me my points. Nico Hischier's been the man. That's not to mention that Jack Hughes hasn't really even been Jack Hughes yet, and he still has 12 points in 13 games. Yeah, this is bad by Jack Hughes standards because he isn't completely taking over every shift he's on the ice for. Dougie Hamilton has been Dougie Hamilton. He had a nice pass. He had the primary assist on Hischier's game winner last night. He has 10 points in 13 games. He's been Dougie. Miles Wood on the 4th line, scoring 5 goals. Depth scoring, that stuff is important. Tomas Tatar's had 7 assists so far with 8 points in 13 games. Solid stuff overall. And just saying, Vitek Vanacek, hey, that win was on him last night. The Devils were mostly dominated for the first time in like a while on 5-on-5 and on special teams. Granted, Hamilton scored on a 5-on-3 power play, which, to be fair, you got to be pretty bad at hockey to not score on a 5-on-3. But Vitek Vanacek, so far this season, has a .915 save percentage and a 2.18 goals against average. I was saying the Devils just need solid goaltending. Solid goaltending, and they'll be winning games like crazy. And sure enough, they've gotten solid goaltending, and they haven't lost in 2 weeks. So, hey, everyone wants to talk about the Rangers and WFAN. All they do is do like a quick gloss over on the Devils. Like, oh yeah, the Devils won their 7th game in a row last night. Anyways, here's 50 minutes about some college football player. But here, we respect the New Jersey Devils. These guys, they're going out there. Let's look at the standings over here. And sure, it's November 9th. This all could come crashing down in 2 weeks. But the Devils currently lead the Metropolitan Division. A division that before the season, everyone was like, oh, who are the Devils going to pass in the Metro? All of a sudden, they've passed everybody. They've been winning games. They lead the Metro only by 2 points, but they're only 2 points behind Boston for the best record in the Eastern Conference, and only 4 points behind Vegas for the best record in the NHL. So, Also, the advanced stats back it up. Let's go to moneypuck.com here. Let's go to MoneyPuck. Let's look at these numbers here. Let's look at this. Let's go to teams. Expected goals percentage, the Devils lead the league. On Corsi percentage, the Devils are second. Fenwick percentage, the Devils are second. So these numbers back everything up. Everything up that the Devils are doing right now. It's not like they're getting unsustainably great goaltending. It's not like they're finishing at a level that is above what they're expected to do. Like they're shooting, like their goals for 34 goals for and 34 expected goals for. So it's not like they're getting insanely lucky. But this team's just good. I've been hesitant to say this over the last couple of years whenever the Devils start well, because it's always followed by 3 weeks of futility, maybe winning a couple of games here and there. But this is actually different this time. The Devils aren't just winning games. They're dominating games, and they are winning each kind of game that you can play. They've played games where they've jumped out early, and they've had to hold the lead. They've won games where they got punched in the mouth in the third and had to win in overtime. They won a game where they got absolutely dominated for the most part, but they made the plays that they needed to make. And they scored the goals that they needed to score. They made the saves that they needed to make. And they won hockey games, and they got out with the 2 points last night. They've done well on special teams. The power play, granted, it wasn't that great last night, but it's been amazing over this stretch. The penalty kill, yeah, wasn't that good last night. Actually, it was bad last night, but it's been good over the stretch. The scoring depth, top to bottom. First line centered by Jack Hughes. You don't really need to say much about that. Second line centered by Nico Hischier. Yeah, good luck with that. Third line centered by Dawson Mercer, who is no slouch on his own. And the fourth line centered by Michael McLeod, with the aforementioned Miles Wood flanking him with great goal-scoring potential and upside from the fourth line. And with Nate Bastian, who's done a solid job as, you know, the fourth line net front presence, and he's on the power play as well in the net front. And overall, this has just been amazing, amazing stuff from a team that for years has gotten ignored for what they have been building. For the last couple of years, people who have been like really in the league have been saying, hey, wait for the Devils to get some more guys, because they're going to be up there. And this is going without mentioning that Andre Palat is hurt. And I guarantee Eric Holla wouldn't be logging first line minutes if Andre Palat was healthy. And I guarantee you that this team is going to become even better. This defense is going to become even more ridiculous once Luke Hughes and Simon Nemec come up. And Luke Hughes, he's going to be ready by April. He's going to be back by the end of the regular season. And, imagine if he comes in the playoff run. Oh, man, that would be fun. Nemec, they're going to give him more time, and I don't blame them. But this team is only going to get better. These guys are only going to age better. They're going to bring in more guys. Some trade deadline. I'm just sitting there and I'm like, hey, go out there and get me Timo Meier from the Sharks. He has great chemistry with Nico Hischier. He's been with him on Team Switzerland in the World Championships every year, and they've been a unit together. I'm just imagining a line of this. Timo Meier, Nico Hischier, and Tomas Tatar on the second line. Think about that. Then you have Jesper Bratt and Andre Palat on the first line with Jack Hughes. I mean, think about that. This team has so much potential. It's ridiculous just how much potential these guys have. And they're playing great. And they're fast. I look at, like, when they're clicking in transition, these guys are lightning fast. They're coming in, they're out skating everybody. They're playing great defense. John Marino. That's all I need to say. Just John Marino. Jonas Siegenthaler, Ryan Graves, Dougie Hamilton. And sure, the bottom pairing, Brendan Smith and Damon Severson, yeah, they make a lot of mistakes, but they're the third pairing. And it matches up a lot better against other third pairings. And that third pairing is going to get swapped out for better defensemen because, oh yeah, Luke Hughes and Simone Nemec are going to come up. So, if the Devils play their cards right here and they have Jesper Bratt coming up on a contract, he's going to get paid so much money. He is going to get paid so much money. And it's probably going to be from the Devils because they know Jesper Bratt is a cornerstone of this franchise. And kudos to Ray Shero for drafting him in the 6th round. I mean, my God. Like, Ray Shero, I had my problems with him. And Tom Fitzgerald, I had my problems with him too. But Ray Shero was the guy who was given 2 first overall picks in 2 classes where there wasn't a top of the line, like, clear number 1 overall pick. In 2017, Nico Hischier and Nolan Patrick, it was kind of like, eh. He could have drafted Nolan Patrick, and it would have gone horribly. In 2019, there was a lot of buzz around Capo Caco being more ready for the league. And being, oh, he's a big body. He played against men in the Liga. God, I remember when that was an actual take. That Capo Caco was going to be better than Jack Hughes because he played in the Finnish league. He could have taken Capo Caco. Just as easily as we got Nico Hischier and Jack Hughes, we could have ended up with Nolan Patrick and Capo Caco, and the Flyers could have ended up with Nico Hischier, and oh, God forbid, the Rangers would have ended up with Jack Hughes. Now, to a lot of Ranger fans here, that's probably like, oh, Jack Hughes on the Rangers, oh, baby. But, the Devils ended up getting those 2 guys. And Ray Shero drafted Fabian Zetterlund, who has been a blessing on the second line with Hischier. And he drafted Jesper Bratt, who has been one of the best play-driving wingers in the league since last year. And he's killing it. He's going to get paid a lot of money. Although Tom Fitzgerald, like, his drafting, it's been so-so. Although Dawson Mercer has been a good pick. The no-brainers, I'm not really going to talk about, like, Holtz. Yeah, he's a bit of a late bloomer, but you know what? Just give him time. The team's winning right now. Why mess everything up? And he also drafted, the no-brainers. He drafted Luke Hughes. Although it's going to take a lot of time for us to see how Fitzgerald's drafts have worked out because it's like a hockey prospect take a long time to develop. Fabian Zetterlund was drafted in 2017, and just now he's getting consistent playing time in 2022. It's going to take time. Sure, there's probably some guy who Fitzgerald took in the 5th round of 2020 who's going to be a contributor to the roster in 2025. That's the thing you got to remember about hockey prospects. They're really, 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 really long projects. They're like baseball players. And, but the things that we can see the immediate results of are his trades. We saw a trade that he made for the Taylor Hall trade that got us the pick that got us Dawson Mercer. The trade that landed us Vitek Vanacek has been good so far. And the trade that landed us John Marino. We traded Ty Smith, who was one of the worst defensive defensemen on the younger side in the NHL. And I loved Ty Smith as a prospect. It broke my heart to see him not work out. But, hey, it's a business. He played terribly. and they traded him for one of the better defensive defense, actually one of the best right shot defensive defensemen in the league so far. On top of other contracts, like he signed Jack Hughes to that 8x8 last fall, which, by the way, dude, his agent has got to be fuming right now. These player agents who sign these young players to like super cheap deals or agree to those cheap deals. It's so funny because they could be making so much more money, especially in baseball. But again, that's a rant for another time. Anyways, let's talk about it. I just want to do a quick bit on the Rangers. They lost 4-3 to the Islanders last night. A rare 4 goals allowed from Igor Shesterkin. They're only 6-5-3 on the year, and they are riding the heels of a 3-game losing streak. And they have Detroit tomorrow night in Detroit. So, and they've been solid so far, but I feel like Detroit's one of those teams that's just going to flame out. New York Islanders 9-5. Don't know how sustainable their little run is, but they've been good so far. Again, that's what having Ilya Sorokin on your team would do for you. They scored 3 unanswered in the third period against the Rangers last night to win that game in the Garden, which is a very tough place to play, especially when the Rangers are good. And hockey, that's about all I have for hockey. I mean, I could talk about the Mitchell Miller situation, but all I really have to say about that is something that everybody else has been saying. No, it's an awful move by the Bruins. They keep insisting on it. Mitchell Miller's a horrible human being who did a horrible thing. And people say, oh, he was 14. Like, yeah, when I was 14, I knew not to bully people. Like, it's basic common sense. It's stuff that they teach you in first grade. Don't bully people. And Mitchell Miller did a very severe version of bullying. And the Bruins are just insisting on signing him because that's how hockey works. At least that's how the culture of it works at the upper level. And it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. What else do I have here? No, nothing else. I mean, I'm running up on half an hour. It's typically when I like to call it here. So, anyways, from the studios of WIUR, from the La Penta Student Union at iUniversity, this has been Woolley Mammoth Wednesdays. And from Cameron Woolley, I just like to say, take care, fellas.